On today's show, we're going to talk about the best shots of Nikola Jokic's career. And me and Brendan Vogt are going to come to a top 5. What are the top 5 best shots that Nikola Jokic has ever made as a Denver Nugget? We'll also talk about some changes in the Nuggets front office. Are they significant? Are they meaningless? We'll talk about all that on the DNVR Nuggets podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DNBA show, the DNVR Nuggets Podcast. There we go. Harrison Wind alongside the VP of Vibe Operations, Brendan Vogt.
What's up, man? Yeah, they made a real mistake on StreamYard. They gave us a chance to put our own titles and stuff in here. So I did not miss out on that opportunity. VP, baby. Vibe Operations.
Did we lose Wind? Tough start to the show, fellas. Tough start to the show.
Is that Wind or is it me, Kim?
I'm not hitting it.
Wait, the air horn?
Yeah.
That's not you, Kel?
I thought that was Brendan.
No.
Do we have somebody else in the show?
No, we have a mysterious air horn happening.
Oh, interesting.
All right.
Well, we got a fun show coming at you guys today. Me and the VP of Vibe Operations. Maybe I need a title in my little bio there.
Yeah, you should have put new father, but that's fine. I won't tell you how to do you.
That is defining my life right now, of course. But we're going to start with, some news and notes about the Nuggets. There's a front office change in Denver. The Nuggets scouting director is leaving, going to the Brooklyn Nets. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to go over the best shots of Nikola Jokic's career. And we're going to come together and have a top 5 best shots of Jokic's career. We're going to come together and make a top 5 list. Also, we'll go through some Bet365 odds. What Nugget is most likely to win an end-of-season award? Russell Westbrook, maybe? Could Nikola Jokic get another MVP? We'll talk about all of that. But Vogt, let's start with some news that's happening this weekend, actually. This is a positive note. Night of the Dragon is happening this weekend in Slovenia. It's Goran Dragic's retirement game, and Nikola Jokic is playing in it. It's a star-studded field of participants. Jokic, Steve Nash is going to be there. Chris Bosh is going to be there. I don't know if he's playing, but he'll be there. Dirk Nowitzki, Luka Doncic, taking place in Slovenia. It's a retirement game for Dragic, European legend, had a great NBA career as well. The stars are coming out for this one. I'm excited to see, the video that comes from this.
First of all, when you go to the website, you get a countdown, which I think is badass. Second of all, it's called Night of the Dragon, which is also badass. Thirdly, this is a great idea. Retirement showcase game. Can you think of other examples? Because I can't. This is really, really cool.
I know. I mean, usually you get the retirement tour in the NBA if you're, self-centered enough to do that for a whole season. We've seen, some stars in recent memory do that. We'll probably see some stars do that in the next couple of years. I don't know. We've seen it in baseball. I feel like baseball makes a big deal out of it.
Yeah, they
don't
do a
you
lot of
go
gifts.
to every ballpark and get like a gift?
Yes. Yeah, you do. And some teams are notoriously cheap about it, which is hilarious. Like the Athletics, who are in the middle of a move to Vegas. I think they once gifted someone a bottle of wine And I'm pretty sure it was Miguel Cabrera. And I'm also pretty sure Miguel Cabrera does not drink. So that was a super fun. They nailed it.
That was totally oh god, we need a gift for Miguel Cabrera. Could somebody pick up a bottle of wine on the way to the ballpark?
It was so much worse than that. He's been sober for like 20 years after like a notorious DUI case. And they gave him wine. It was so bad.
Like a Costco red too. I'm like, here you go, man.
Is so bad.
Yeah. So, but the season-long tours are one thing, but this is just a showcase game. Is that?
Yeah, really so cool. It's a 2-night thing. I think Friday night they're having like a gala/dinner, probably open bar. I'm guessing, probably not cash bar. I'd say open bar for the Balkan brothers. And then Saturday night it's a game. Probably an exhibition type game with all these different legends. I'd even call it like Luka, Bosh, Jokic, Steve Nash. And like, I don't know how close Jokic was with Dragic when he was here. I don't think Dragic played in the NBA last year, but you have the Balkan connection. I love Jokic going out there to support.
I think it's really, really cool. I think it also, it's like a good group. Chris Bosh, I think, kind of confuses me a bit there. I'm sure they have their own relationship, but other than that, like,
I think they might have been on the Heat together.
Maybe. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, maybe. Either way, that's like an international legendary run. I just love the idea that Jokic's involved in this, but this is like one of the coolest ideas that I've seen. And Goran Dragic was a really, really cool player. So this is pretty rad. And I'm glad Jokic is going to be there.
I feel like, if you're going out and you have your crew, I feel like Jokic, Dirk, Luka, Steve Nash. I feel like that's a pretty good crew.
That's an elite crew. I think Jokic is going to have fun at this event.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like just a crew that's great vibes all around.
Yeah, we're gonna get I think some Jokic videos, possibly shirtless from this one.
Also coming to this game, I mean, there's some random guys too. Robin Lopez, I'm sure he's just itching to get out to Slovenia. Josh Richardson, another former Miami Heat guy. Boban, Bogdan Bogdanovic will be there. Luis Scola will be there, another international legend.
Yeah.
So Leandro Barbosa, man. We are going to see over or under 1.5 videos of a shirtless Jokic.
Over. I'm going to say over. I also love, I think it's really cool. Like, we don't get necessarily glimpses into, for the teams we don't cover, like, these guys play together. Some of them hate each other. Some of them become lifelong friends. I'm actually kind of curious now thinking about Jokic, like when it's all said and done. We know he's got his Balkan buddies, but I'm curious like what NBA players he's going to really consider good friends outside of the Balkan sphere. But this is a really cool event.
Yeah, that's a good question because he's going to be tight with guys like Luka forever. Like that's his best friend in the league right now. It seems like obviously the Serbian guys, but yeah. Would it be former Nuggets? Would it be just?
It probably would. Yeah, it would just be like Jamal, Mike, and Aaron, and then the Balkan guys.
Maybe P. Watt gets into that group if he does a couple more commercials. Maybe
Monte will be there.
Monte gets the invite. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's a cool event to look forward to this weekend. I think that the game is Saturday, and I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of video coming out from that. Another note as we get started here, changes in the Nuggets front office vote. This is reported by Mike Scoto of Hoops Hype. Drew Nichols, who was the director of scouting for the Denver Nuggets the last 2 years, is leaving the team. He's taking a job with the Brooklyn Nets. Nichols, he was a good player in college at Maryland, really respected as a scout. The only things I really know about this are that like this was a Calvin Booth hire. And I remember I've met Drew. I've interacted with him a bunch of times over the last couple of years. everybody in the organization really liked him when he was brought on. So this was a bit of a surprise to see, but director of scouting, like that's a pretty significant title.
Yeah, it's a significant title. That's a significant rehire. And as you pointed out, this was someone they liked and had tagged. So my first thought, kind of moment where maybe fractures or friction within the organization seemed like an easy talking point. We'd have to do some digging and find out. But my first thought is, I bet the Nets just gave him good money. That would probably be my first guess. Brooklyn seemed like an org that pays. I don't know. I haven't done my own reporting on this, obviously. But that's sort of my first thought was, okay, Calvin likes him. He's got a nice title. I'm sure there was probably just some kind of pay raise here. But it's hard to ignore given we want organizational stability right now. And so anytime someone leaves, it's going to feel like, is this thing's getting worse? So it's definitely news. It's noteworthy. But I don't know, I don't know how interesting it is in terms of why it went down.
Yeah, noteworthy for sure. I know Drew Nichols was hired when Calvin Booth took over a couple years ago.
Right.
Nuggets beefed up their scouting department in some aspects. They added a bunch of guys to the front office. They just kind of beefed up the brain trust at Ball Arena, and Drew Nichols was part of that. He was one of the guys that was brought in, very highly regarded, and I know the Nuggets thought very highly of him. But it's also weird when somebody from the Nuggets leaves, because the front office of the Nuggets and the coaching staff of the Nuggets has had way more continuity than I feel like most NBA teams do. The Nuggets have had the same assistant coaches the last, 3 years? The exact same.
It's almost
other than Ryan Saunders coming on as one of the frontline assistants a couple years ago. That's the only big change it's felt like there's been the last several years.
Totally. Because around the league, it sort of feels like a game of musical chairs with office members and scouts, and it's like one big club. And if you don't work here, you work over there. If your friend moves over here, you move with them. And it's kind of always felt like the Nuggets kind of have their own thing going on. So yeah, that's an interesting point. I would wager my first guess is that Brooklyn made him a but this is I think right now the front office isn't as endeared, as ingratiated with the fan base as they once were after the title. I don't think people are as happy with every decision that's been made. But I think on the whole, the drafting and the scouting the last couple of years has been a strength. So this is definitely noteworthy. That's a significant rehire. Calvin will have to engage in here.
Yeah. When Wes Unseld left to take the Wizards job, I believe that's when Ryan Saunders came, because he filled that role, front of bench, quote unquote, defensive coordinator. Other than that, the Nuggets have had the same assistant coaches and coaching staff the last 3, 4, 5 years, pretty much. That is insane in the NBA. That never happens. There's so much turnover in the assistant coaching ranks, really, with most teams. It's pretty wild that the Nuggets have had that continuity. And in the front office, there was definitely a changeover when Tim Connolly left, when Calvin Booth hired. Like I mentioned, Drew Nichols is one of the guys they brought in. They brought in a bunch of other guys as well. But the core guys have kind of, stayed the same. Calvin Booth, Tommy Balcetis, top two guys in Nuggets front office, they've been here a long time. So I do think the continuity, it's been a strength. But I think you could also go the other way and say maybe getting new voices in once in a while isn't the worst thing either. It's one of those things that's really tough to stay when you're on the outside.
Yes, I strongly agree. The biggest thing is, I think Cedric in the chat just mentioned Kenny Atkinson, and I actually think he's a great example. It feels like Kenny Atkinson has been on every bench in the league except for Denver's, he's part of that other club. And then there's Denver's thing over here. He was on the France bench. He's on every bench at once.
The guy can't get enough of coaching. He has to be coaching 12 months a year, 365 days a year. If he's not coaching, he can't live with himself. He just has to be on a sideline.
He just got he got a head coaching gig, right? Am I making that up? Where is he now?
He's not in Charlotte. Charles Lee got that job, the Celtics assistant. I know.
Is he Cleveland? I think he's
really excited about that. Did he get the Cleveland job?
I think he got the Cleveland job, and I think that's a good hire.
Yeah. Kenny Atkinson is the guy you hire when you really need your guys coached up. Need to bring a little discipline or a little longer practices into the fold. You hire Kenny Atkinson. All right, let's hit our first break. On the other side, we'll go over some of Nikola Jokic's top made shots as a Nugget. We're going to try to whittle that down to a top 5 list like we did with Jamal Murray. Top 5 Jokic shots of his career. It's going to be tough to do.
Okay, here's my top 5 light beers. Miller Lite, Miller Lite, Miller Lite, and Miller Lite. And here's why. It's the original best tasting light beer. It's it, right? Miller Lite ain't broke. More of the taste you want, less of the stuff you don't. It's, many have tried, many have failed to emulate what is still the best light beer. Pairs well with Nuggets wins, pairs well with Nuggets losses, pairs well with summer, pairs well with spring. I mean, you get the idea. It pairs well with a lot of stuff. Get yourself some Miller Lite, and you know all about Miller Lite. You know where to get it. In case you don't, I'll remind you. Times change, but you can always get the great taste of Miller Lite. Taste like Miller Lite. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Yeah, you work hard, you ate healthy, you want to drink a beer, but you don't want to sacrifice all that good work you did. You want a Miller Lite, so find one, don't sacrifice, and enjoy. If you're a basketball fan, or an NHL fan, or an NFL fan, or you just like the Olympics, you are going to want to get yourself the Bet365 app, where it's never ordinary. They don't do ordinary. And they believe that every sport should be epic. Right now, you can choose between 2 offers when they open an account at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365 to sign up. $10. Choose between either a bet and get offer. Place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer by placing $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a match refund in bonus bets. You have to be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we are back here on the DNVR Nuggets Podcast, the DNBA show. Harrison Wind and the VP of Vibe Operations at DNVR, Brendan Vogt. Let's talk Nikola Jokic's best shots. He's had a lot of great ones in his Nuggets career, a lot of memorable ones. Let's try to whittle this down, though, to a top 5 list. So I thought what we could do, we could go back and forth and maybe nominate some shots.
Okay.
And then at the end, we can, come to a consensus top 5. Does that sound good?
Dude, I'm into it.
All right. I'll go first. And I'll start with a no-brainer. I'm going to nominate Nikola Jokic's shot over Anthony Davis from Game 1 of the Lakers series. Game one, step back, Sombor Shuffle over AD.
The first of the 2 iconic ones. I'm thinking that this is somewhere in the top 5 for sure. Off the top of my head, both of those shots are somewhere in the top 5. I don't know what you think.
I think they probably are.
Call it like 5 for now, but I'm down to move it around. But that series, as Playboy Predator 999 points out, he was unstoppable, and unstoppable with as many eyes on him at once as there have ever been. We had seen it before. Denverites, Serbians, Nuggets fans around the world had seen it before. But at that high level against the Lakers, with everyone watching, that it's just, those are 2 of the greatest shots I've ever seen. And I just think that like Jokic, on top of all of his skill and size and everything he does well, he has the magic too, right? The like, oh man, like he's gonna hit those shots too. And that's what Jokic is. Jokic hits those shots. He has throughout his whole career. So that's just those two, I think, are favorites for any Jokic fan.
And also what this shot had, which is what elevates it so high for me. You had everybody tuning into Nikola Jokic. I felt like for the first time that season during this game, because, the first round of the playoffs against the Timberwolves and the second round against the Suns, third round versus the Lakers, Western Conference Finals of 2023, it felt like everybody was zeroed in on Jokic, locked in on Jokic for the first time all playoffs. And for him to hit that shot in game one, and you also got the Anthony Davis look back on that shot. You got the Jokic shrug also, which I think is still so underrated when people talk about this shot. The shrug, like it's a Jokic shrug in a huge playoff moment. That to me puts this so high.
You and I also had a seat in the house for that one. Like something about the angle from the press box when he puts that one up, it looks way right out of his hands, and then kind of halfway through you realize, oh, this thing's going bottoms. And I remember looking around and just seeing all the other national media members sitting in the box, like with just that look on their face, that the look that I've had watching LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph, any of the greats from our generation, Jokic elicits the same reactions really on the biggest stage.
And it was a total crowning moment. It felt like online, in person with everybody watching, because playoffs against the Lakers, that's immediately the top game out of any game that's on that day.
Yes.
And everybody watching, it felt like, came to this consensus of, all right, he's the guy. He's that dude. That felt like the first moment on the way to the championship where everybody accepted that it was Nikola Jokic's league.
Yeah, if you're arguing, you're on the wrong side right now. Save it for a couple of months. That's how it felt for sure.
Yeah. All right. So that's my first nomination. What's next?
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna do maybe how about one that we saw recently? The Australia game, which was a banger. And real Yoke moments, including like baseline Sombor Shuffle. Not his first, arguably not his most famous, but it's a big one. And it was, I don't know, man. Something about this one to me was just, it's not, I don't know if it's top 5, but it's somewhere in the top 10. It was beautiful. The announcer was laughing. The Serbian announcer was calling it the Sombor Shuffle. It was, it was just perfect, man. I think that's got to be somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was a great shot from the right corner. The same shot that he hit the Sombor against Greece from, which is a shot I'm sure we'll get to here also.
Oh, yeah.
Came in the Olympics, not with the Nuggets, but I mean, I don't think that should matter here when they were talking about greatest shots in basketball history. Steph Curry's shot has been in that conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
In the gold medal game for Team USA. So he can have shots while wearing a Serbia jersey in this list, I think. And yeah, I mean, a signature shot. That wasn't a big moment too, right? That was fourth quarter, game in the balance.
It was a big moment. It was a big shot. They were going on a real run. Yoke was going on a real run. I can't remember exactly where it came, but it was a huge shot. And it was we all laughed out loud. Just one of those,
Yeah. Okay. That might be on there as well. Okay, so we have game 1, third quarter versus Lakers. We have the Sombor versus Australia so far. I will nominate his game winner against the Warriors. Out of all the true game winners that Jokic has, this one's at the top for me. He's got game winners against other teams in the regular season that we'll get to. The one against the Golden State Warriors, where he gets the ball, dribbles to a spot that looks like he's staring down the whole time, right across half court, right by the sideline, jump stops, and then just goes and shoots it. And it's a shot you knew it was in from the second he released it. The fact that it's a true buzzer beater too, where there was no time on the clock after, I'm pretty sure. It was a great game. That to me has got to be on this list.
Absolutely. To me, something about it was, it felt like a shot peak Steph would have hit in that building, but it was Jokic in Steph's building. And magic. It's his purest game winner, his purest buzzer beater. Maybe it's one of the 10 to 15 nights at the bar that just like, not nights we knew we were in for when we got there, right? But then it ends that way. And it was just so perfect. And it had also been a minute, right? So some of the shots were in Jokic had that ludicrous 12-month stretch, I want to say 3-ish years ago, right? Where he hit like 6 game winners. No one was even close, right, to what he was doing in terms of go ahead or game winning shots. And then it slowed down a bit. And it had been a minute since we'd see Jokic do it. And that one was just so perfect. Oh, and Kerr, that's right, Vekislav. Kerr was bitching the whole time. That was great.
Was that game?
Maybe, or the game after, it might have been the next time they went there.
I know. God, I love how Steve Kerr has kind of become a little enemy of the Jokic Nuggets. This shot was so freaking good, man. He's got Kevon Looney on him. I can't believe the Warriors didn't double team him. Like, how would you not force the ball out of Nikola Jokic's hands at this point? And he just gets to that spot right there on the sideline and just launches.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, this was a shot that, watching this game, how it played out, watching how Jokic played in this game, the type of shots he was hitting up until this one, you knew this shot was going in. This was a no-doubter from, almost 40 feet.
Yes. And chat confirming that actually was the same game. And this was, I believe, was shortly after all the free throw stuff, right? Or was that even the same game as well? But yeah, Steve Kerr made himself.
Yeah. Steve Kerr was complaining about Jokic getting all the free throws.
Right. And then he had that, don't do that in the middle of the game.
The face.
Yeah, the face. Oh, the face. That was so good, man. Jokic just has a way of, it was that game. Thank you, Kassan. Jokic just has a way of like, all the little righteous, indignation we've had, like, it all comes back around. He takes care of us in the end. You just got to hang on long enough.
For a minute, I actually don't think that was the game Jokic had 18 free throws, but it was like a week after it.
Right.
Like, that's for a minute, Jokic became the face of NBA foul bait. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I love a couple national pods were like, I don't know if this is the guy we need to be doing it with, but it's a good conversation.
Like, ESPN puts a graphic of like, is foul baiting a problem in the NBA? And Jokic is on it.
Yeah.
Give me a break, man.
That was such a that's a real Denver experience right there. We know what that's like.
Yeah. All right, let's do one more, then we'll hit another break.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to stay with the international Sombors then, dude. The one we were there for, to me, is at least top 3, maybe number 1. We'll get there together. But the Sombor versus Greece in Belgrade, important game for qualifying, actually a must-win game. And a lot of Nuggets fans did watch that. If you didn't, it sneaks through the cracks. But that game, in a way we don't often see in the NBA, was Jokic versus Giannis. It was 2 guys trying to carry their. They were guarding each other at one point. They don't play the same position, and you got the better of them. And so just hitting that shot, it was, and then us being there in Belgrade for it, possibly with the exception of live basketball experience ever. So.
Yeah, so this was the summer of 2023. We were there for it. This is at the tail end of our trip to Serbia, to Belgrade and Sombor. We were there for this game. All of us were in the building. Kale was there. D-Line was there. This is where the famous photo of D-Line celebrating the Jokic jersey originated.
It's so good.
Dude, this is an all-time moment. It really is. Like I will. That's the best game I've ever been to, and I don't think it'll ever be topped.
Well,
Yeah. I do wonder if this game is just way higher for us than it is for everybody else because we were
100%.
because we had just spent 7 days in Serbia after everything we experienced there, and being there live for this game. I don't know if it ever translated to television. I don't know if I've ever seen Nikola Jokic play harder in a game than he played in that one.
Oh, it was in front of a packed stadium of just diehard Serbian national team fans, like the Serbia chants. It was crazy. It was, like you said, I think he felt the energy like he's never felt. I've never seen him feel it like that.
Yeah. Summer 2022, yes, 2 years ago.
I get a lot of what we saw in that game in the NBA anymore. You get star matchups on posters, and they have their moments throughout the games, but these two guys, the way it was like the second half was an overtime. It was like, it's you versus me here, buddy. And you think at that time you thought of Jokic as better than Giannis in how he makes his team better, right? But like, I didn't know at the time, like, okay, if they were really just going at each other one-on-one, I'm like, what would that look like? And Jokic was guarding him well. Giannis could not guard him. The one possession he did guard him turns into the famous Sombor, and that's the thing. It was a almost perfect game. We were there, but it was a great game.
Yeah, and that shot was like the penultimate moment, or like the ultimate moment of that game. I feel like it was kind of the dagger, if I remember correctly.
Totally did.
And it was from that spot on the right baseline. He loves that spot for the Sombor Shuffle.
Man, and everyone was in the house. Dev sitting next to Boban somehow courtside. Novak is there. All these Serbian legends are being honored. It was actually literally the perfect cherry on top of our trip, for sure.
Yeah. Let's hit another break. We'll go over some other Jokic shots on the other side. There's a lot more to get to, for sure.
There is indeed. Sorry about the internet, gang. You caught me in the middle of a move here. I am sitting cross-legged in an empty room. So bear with me on the internet. Game time wants you to not miss any of the moments that we just talked about. You may not be in Belgrade, maybe in Denver. If there's a big game that night and you want to be there, you can still be there even if you hadn't planned ahead. It's the best way to get the best seats for the best price at the last minute. Think of it like a dating app, except you don't have to date anyone, so it's actually much better. Party realize they don't want to go to the game. Party realize they do. They match you together. You find yourself in a great seat for a great event. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Filters out the fluff to show you only the deals, great seats. Time searching for the best deal. Game Time is trying to filter that straight to you. So next time you're ready to watch the Denver Nuggets, we're far away, but they'll be back. Fire up the Game Time app, because you might be able to sit courtside and you might be able to tap into another great. Who knows? You might see the next great Jokic shot. Take the guesswork. It's Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Speaking of Game Time, if you want to be playing games, not just watching them, get yourself the Volo Pass so you can tap into Volo Sports. With the pass, you receive access to the Mod Sports Club. It's only $20 a month. It is the best way to meet new people, to get out into the city, to get out and be active. You could be playing beer in hand kickball. You could be going bowling. You could be playing volleyball. They got a lot of it. So get yourself connected with Volo, especially if you're new to Denver. Sign up on the Volo app using code DNVR3 to get a Volo. It's for only $10 for the first 3 months.
All right, and we're back here on the DNVR Nuggets Podcast. Harrison, Wind and Brendan Vogt. I was just rewatching the Sombor against Giannis. It was not the dagger, it was not the game winner because that game actually went into overtime somehow.
Right. But it was a huge shot. It was a necessary shot.
It was a massive shot. Serbia was up by 5, 84-79, 138 left. And, Jokic walks Giannis into that right corner and hits the Sombor. And then you have this Jokic smile afterward. And then I don't know if you remember, Coach Pesic, so serious, so locked in, so disciplined. He even lets off a little smirk as the camera pans to him.
That's a great detail. That's a great. That's like, I used to love watching Steve Kerr that years because he's trying to coach them, and the Warriors would take some horseshit shots, and he would kind of hate them, but then realize it was Steph and just kind of laugh to himself as they went in. Really great detail. It kind of goes hand in hand with something you put on Twitter. It was the clip of Jokic and Pesic talking strategy. And people have explained to us that in his older age, Pesic has maybe, let's say, softened or opened up his mind as a coach. And I think it's really cool that he gets Jokic here at the tail end. And I wonder, maybe like kind of different, say like Pop with Wemby a little bit. I wonder if it's a nice laugh of like, oh, there's so much joy in this, and oh, there's still more even I can learn. So it's a really cool kind of like way for Pesic to finish his career is with.
Yeah. It was a great moment, definitely. All right, let me nominate another one here. I'm gonna go with another one of these game winners. I feel like this one's kind of been a little lost because there's been so many unbelievable Jokic moments over the years. What about the game winner versus the Jazz in the bubble?
Yes.
On Rudy Gobert.
That's really a series winner.
This was a series winner, a Game 7 winner. It was nothing crazy, nothing that fancy. It was just a post-up, one-on-one. I think it was a little right hook over the left shoulder from the paint that Jokic hit over Rudy Gobert. That was the game winner to seal the 3-1 comeback against the Jazz in the bubble. Nothing crazy about this shot, but I think it deserves a mention just because it did clinch the 3-1 comeback. It did keep this version of the Nuggets going. Who knows what would have happened to this team if they lose that playoff series. And, it was kind of honestly one of the first monumental, real memorable Jokic clutch winning shots.
And we kind of needed to see it, man. Remember Game 3 was such a disaster, and that series to that point, what did we for Jamal Murray? And with good reason. So we were on the verge of some really unfortunate narratives there. And him hitting that shot, obviously Denver carries through, but Jokic puts his exclamation point on a series that, to that point, wow, is Jamal Murray from an outside perspective. So it was a big shot. It was also, I think, the beginning of him kind of getting over a certain hill against Rudy Gobert. I love that shot that Jokic does. His twirl into the right-handed hook shot. It's just the full twirl, and it's like sometimes nothing changes at all, but then he puts it up and it's cash. That was I'm glad that you pointed this one out because I think it's an easily lost one, but it's arguably among the most important shots of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, your turn.
All right. All right. I remember Game 5 against the Wolves as a game more than I remember a shot. I just remember him kicking ass. I'm gonna go with okay, let's go back to that stretch where Jokic was hitting a bunch of game winners within a year or a year and a half. Tyson just pointed it out in the chat. They're playing Philly. And this is a long time ago because Joel Embiid is in and it's in Denver. Jokic fires a beautiful pass to Millsap underneath the rim. Millsap fumbles it, can't finish, and he just kicks an awkward pass out to Jokic, feels it, hits it, falls over, but a game winner. It's an effusive celebration from Jokic, which makes it extra fun. It's not technically Embiid, but this is during this stretch where Jokic is just hitting game winners and beating guys like Cat and Embiid. I like this a lot. It's an awkward, broken play, but it has a special place for me.
Yeah, not the prettiest game winner, but it's against the 76ers. It's against Embiid. Was this the last time Joel Embiid played in Denver? This was 4 years ago.
I think that is true.
And it's kind of a shot right below the three-point line, right inside the three-point line. The Nuggets are down 97-96 in this game, so they need it or else they're going to lose. Jokic hits it, goes to the floor, and then instead of celebrating, immediately goes and complains to the ref about not getting the foul.
Oh, that's right. That's what he did. I thought so. No, he complains.
Yeah.
Fouled.
Hits a shot, game winner, immediately goes to the ref.
I believe he had quite recently or shortly after hits one against Minnesota as well, or it's a go-ahead one kind of. But yeah, this was a good stretch for Jokic.
Yeah. Definitely an iconic game winner. I'm going to go with another regular season one. Game winner against the Mavs. This was national TV, I think like the Philly one, against Luka Doncic and the Mavs. And this was like a classic Jokic go-to shot. He's kind of going to his right, the right-handed, one-handed, one-footer leaner to beat the Mavs. January 8th, 2020 was when he hit this one. Another one that to me was just an absolute like no doubter. And I think actually Jokic had hit a shot a couple seconds earlier to put the Nuggets up. And then I believe something happened with Dallas or whatnot, but the right-handed leaner against the Mavs, definitely up there. This was at home, and just another no-doubter, I think. A no-doubter on a ridiculously difficult shot.
And it was a great game. Great fourth chat on this one. I remember it for Luka. There's a shot Luka, because I think Luka had just hit a clutch shot as well, or he was going out of his mind. And Jokic hits it, and honestly, Luka looks like he's going to cry. And I'm not even trying to be antagonistic. He literally looked like he was going to cry. So that's what I remember that one for. I think we were at a different sports bar that night too, but I remember the celebration. That was a very fun game. And this was one, I think, people don't like losing to Dallas, the Luka stuff. That's a game we always want to win. So
Luka and Jokic have put together a couple all-time regular season games, like a couple all-time one-on-one battles where both them have had ridiculous games. And like Jokic has had a couple of quote-unquote game winners against Dallas. Like he had one also that was, I think, a year after this one, where there was like 10 seconds on the clock and he hit like just a layup, and then Dallas couldn't even get off a shot on like the ensuing possession. But his one, from the year before that against Dallas, when it's the actual like true game winner, that to me might be on this list.
Dude, you're right. There are a lot of great Dallas games. MPJ has had Dallas games as well, so that's probably why I feel that way. But no, those are actually always really fun ones. And I also agree with the chat too. Like Jokic has a long list of iconic shots, but it's and we all agree like this is just a fun exercise. But I remember his performances more than his shots. I just remember him being nearly perfect in Game X because it's not out one moment with Jokic. It's about every second he's on the floor. So, all right. What else can you throw in here? All right.
We have the game winner against Orlando. We can do that one too.
That's the one I was thinking. That's the step back three, right?
Yep. Step back three.
Yeah, and this is how long ago was this? Let's see. Was this
The game versus Orlando was not that long ago.
What I'm trying to remember was this a takeover night?
I'm not sure. It might have been. I believe this was not this past season, but the year before. So like 2023.
Yeah.
The game's tied at 116. Right. Jokic gets the ball, step back three, where he kind of just actually dribbles and then steps back behind the 3-point line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, it's so clean, that one. Yeah, you're right.
He hits it over the incredible Franz Wagner.
Does that weird back pocket dribble and takes a huge... Yeah, you're right. The incredible Franz. By the way, Orlando is a team that feels like Denver has a suspiciously hard time beating. Like, I just feel like there are tough Orlando games in my memory and tough losses. This is a good one, though. I mean, look, all the game winners are up there. I will say that compared to the other ones, this is kind of back in my memory.
Well, it's the Orlando Magic. I mean, like, a game winner against Steph and the Warriors, it's just going to be probably higher than a game winner against Franz Wagner and the Orlando Magic. That's fair, just how the game works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't argue with it. Should we get a top 5 together? Or?
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to bring up game 5 against the Timberwolves because you're right. This is one of those where you remember more of the game than any particular moment. Kind of like his takeover against the Pelicans, which I saw somebody bring up in the chat just a second ago. Some of those finals games against Bam and the Heat where he's just dominating. Some Jokic games, you think of just the entire game, not a singular moment. But I do think there are 2 shots that could be in here from that game against the Timberwolves. And of course, this is game 5 against the Timberwolves from this series that the Nuggets ended up losing just this past playoffs, where I think that was the best game Nikola Jokic has ever played. In my opinion, that for me is number 1 when I think about his best games ever. That Pelicans game might be in that conversation too. But for me right now, that Timberwolves game is also number 1. He was so good in that game, pretty much perfect. But the 2 shots that come to mind for me, he had the post up where like he's twirling around. He looks like a ballerina out there. 1 pivot, 2 pivot. Then the finish high off the glass. And then the other one was the 3-pointer where he kind of like puts a one-on-one move. He puts a little shake on. I'm guessing he was going against Gobert, I think. Mm-hmm. And he kind of has a little step back 3, which I think that one came after the post-up sequence. So that 3-pointer might have been more the dagger. But I wonder if that shot would be on there because that shot to seal what I think was the best game Jokic has ever played, that might deserve to be in the conversation.
I think if they had just and done in game 6 or 7, we would talk about that game relentlessly and those shots probably. So there's like a little bit of a weird like because if it doesn't lead to much, but they needed a Jokic game in game 5 and he just had that look on his face, the eye of the Joker the whole time.
And of course, like he was so good that this game, it was like a 10-point game for most of the 4th quarter. Yeah, it was on Gobert. I'm watching it right now. The other thing about this game, it was on the night when he got the MVP. It was just like an incredible all-time night, an all-time game. If they just would have not blown the 20-point lead at home in game 7.
I'm never going to get over that one.
In historic fashion.
All right. Well, and then we mentioned the second as well, right? The series ender.
I don't think we have mentioned it, no.
Oh, well, we should because it's definitely in there. This is the falling away over AD on the other wing this time, I believe. Just ridiculous. This is like one of the great shots anyone's ever hit, actually. And like we know all the context, like finally beating the Lakers. This was Denver's moment, Stokes' moment. Maybe to some other people, they see a series that was close. I seem to disagree. But to me, that was just that's an iconic shot. I think I think there's a chance it's the number 1 Jokic shot that I think of when it's all said and done.
I'm watching it right now. So this was game 4 against the Lakers to win the series, to kind of clinch the trip to the finals. And the Nuggets, they're up 3 in this, they're up 3 in this game. And he just launches from the left wing. And this was another one where Anthony Davis gave a hilarious reaction.
Because he played perfect defense. He actually did. He played perfect defense. And it's also like the third time that series you can hit some version of this shot. And the first times it's like, we're going to laugh to ourselves because this is just dumb luck. And the third time, if you kind of scan the arena, it's like, this fucking guy did it again. Like, this is reality here, dealing with this dude. And on the other side of it, it was, this fucking guy did it again. And we couldn't believe our reality. So it's like, yeah, they probably would have won the series anyway, eventually, or whatever. But that shot to me is just the ultimate, like, to the Jokic haters, like, get out of my face. Like, don't ever show your face in this room again. I love that shot so much.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to put together a top 5. We have about 9 minutes left in the show. I think the 2 Lakers shots are definitely on there.
Me too. Without
game 1 of 2023 and then game 4 of 2023. I think both those on there. I think the Warrior shot is on there as well.
Me too.
Those are 3 I think have to be on there. The shot against Giannis, that probably should be on there as well. So that's already 4.
Yeah, that leaves us one spot. One spot. Where do you want to go with it?
I kind of want to say the series winner over Rudy.
It's like the shot itself isn't that impressive, but the moment meant so much. Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe we should get another pure game winner in there. But I kind of think this is one of the most important shots of Jokic's career, to be honest.
I wouldn't be mad about it.
That game winner versus the Mavs was so sick, though.
It was very sick. Regular season game winners, they have to be so good, I feel like, to get on this list.
Yeah.
But that was
Philly
so
one
good.
Would be my other. I go Philly or Minnesota personally.
I gotta know what the chat thinks. I need the chat to help us out here. Like, what are your top 5 Jokic shots ever? I gotta hear from the chat because the Lakers ones have to be on there.
Yeah, the top 4 are pretty locked in my mind.
The top 4 are easy. I think they're easy locks.
So what do we have at 1?
Well, I
think it's the AD shot. Which first one? Game 1.
I would put that number 1 personally.
Yeah.
You would put that over the shot in game 4?
Yeah, I think I would.
Wait.
I think I would. I think I would too.
I think I would go with the game 4 shot.
Game 1, being in the moment for that one, it felt so big because everybody was watching it. It was kind of Jokic's moment to prove, okay, like, I'm him. This is my time. And then you get the shrug and the AD look back. That to me means a lot. But then with game 4, that's for the series. That's for the sweep. So I don't know.
I'm going to say, I think game 4. I think the game 1 shot was like a little more surprising because just out of his hands, I thought no effing way. But the game 4 shot to me was like, to get difficult where his momentum's taking him at his size and to just, oh man, I think maybe, and it was in LA and they just hated it so much. I think I would have to go with the game 4 one personally.
Let's put game 4 at number 1 for now.
Okay.
Let's put game 1 number 2 for now.
I'm with that.
What about in the 3rd spot?
I think it's Sombor. It's got to be the Belgrade shot.
I think Sombor's 3. I do too.
And then Golden State's 4, the game winner, because it's a regular season game, lower stakes.
I love that. I love that top 4. I think it's really good. I think either Mavs or Sixers here, in my opinion, for number 5.
It's tough. I don't know what we should do at 5 either. I'm very partial to Game 5 against the Timberwolves. I feel like I'm on an island with that, though, so I won't push that anymore. The game winner against the Mavs, great shot, great game, regular season game. Really incredibly tough shot as well. The Philly one,
yeah.
I'm good going with the Mavs. Could we put a poll in here?
Yeah, I can do that. I can make a poll for number 5.
Let's put a quick poll in there. But I think that's our top 5 for now.
I love
Subject to change. We can change it. But 5, the game winner against the Mavs. 4, the game winner against Golden State. 3, the Sombor Shuffle against Greece. 2, Game 1, 2023 Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. Number 1, Game 4, 2023 Conference Finals against the Lakers. It's a tough list to make because, my God, he's got a lot of iconic shots.
He has so many, and he has even more iconic games. Like, we don't even touch on the Clippers win with the game winner to AG. We talked about the Pelicans game, but not necessarily one shot. Like, he's just had so many moments, so many. Doing this, I was just thinking maybe the best part is we're going to get at least one more. We're going to get at least one more candidate for the top 5 this year because he is Jokic. And that's why you watch him play, man. You don't even the odds against the Magic. You catch some Jokic magic, and it's always worth it.
I'm watching this one against Luka Doncic and the Mavs again, the right-handed leaner. This was also in the Jokic phase that he was in where he never celebrated game winners.
You're right.
Because I feel like that something changed where now he gets way more emotional in those moments.
I agree.
And like the Golden State Warriors game winner, that's the most I've seen him celebrate like a game winner in a regular season moment probably ever.
Yeah.
And like back then, like when he hit this Mavs shot, he wasn't celebrating like that. He was just so stoic. And it was the same when he hit that shot against Philly. He goes and instantly complains to the ref. I really do wonder, it does feel like something shifted where he's more willing to let his emotions fly in those regular season moments these days.
I actually agree with that. I do. I feel like in the last 2 to 3 years, we've seen more expressions of joy or just athletic, visceral accomplishment, competitive fire. Every time he does it, every time he celebrates, I get pumped on a level that I didn't know I could.
Because if he celebrates, you know it's big. Like, if he's going crazy, you know you should go crazy.
You know what I love the most? He celebrates Jamal's shots. When Jamal hits a big shot and Yoke just kind of screams. That's rare, but it's just a real treat. Because
for a while, this was obviously before he hit the game winner against Golden State. I think this was 2022 when Monte Morris hit the game winner against Golden State.
Yeah.
For a while, like that was the most Jokic had celebrated in a regular season game for somebody else's game winner.
Yeah, that's a good point. That one was football and that one on the airport. Like I had to go somewhere, but I was watching it on my phone and I almost got arrested. I screamed so loud that people were scared. Yeah. But that was Nuggets fans need that one. That much.
All right, let's hit Super Chats, Kale, and then we'll get out of here. I think we got a bunch from Cedric. Cedric was at 199. 1 Jokic, 3 over AD, 2 buzzer beater versus Golden State. Definitely all in the conversation for sure. 3 Jokic over Bam in the finals. What shot was that?
I don't, dude. Embarrassed at how about the finals moment to moment. I just kind of remember
the finals was just one big celebration.
Yes, every second I was like, "Well, they're gonna win," and that's just kind of all I thought about. So I'm kind of embarrassed how little I remember, to be honest.
I'm looking at it right here, actually. Jokic fadeaway dagger over Bam Adebayo in game 1. Nuggets are up 12, 1 minute left, and Jokic's got Bam in the post. Kind of a variation of the Sombor, just an easy shot. I don't know if you really have the stakes there to put it on the top 5, though.
It's a finals game.
And then Cedric says Jokic over Bam in the finals, Sombor Shuffle over Embiid. Great list. No Kale, I have an army. You'll never stop me. You never will.
Do we believe that?
Vote. Thanks for popping on with me today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks to everybody hanging out in the chat. Thanks to Kale for producing. If you're watching, throw us a quick like before we get out of here. Tomorrow, we're going to talk more about Nikola Jokic, I think, and preview what kind of season we think we might get from him. So a lot to talk about on tomorrow's show. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll talk to you then.
We all silly like the mayor.